Hi, I'm Josie, and I'm a senior here at Pequea Valley. I was born to a mother who was 40 years old at the time, and she was a drug addict. She was addicted to heroin. So when I was born, I was addicted to heroin and spent the first 3 months of my life screaming. On top of that, I was born with hip dysplasia, which is when my hip sockets are flat and not rounded, and then my legs in the womb were straight over my head, and I came out that way as well. I also was born with a hole in my heart, which led to a heart murmur, which I still have today. And my legs from my knees down were backwards, which led to 7 surgeries as of today.
Well, my wife Marion and I were foster parents for 7 years, and we had 9 children go through our house. We saw a picture of her, and as soon as we saw the picture of her, we couldn't pass it up. So we opted to go with bringing her into our lives as a foster child at first. Pretty much from that point on, we fell in love with her. She was with us for foster care for almost 2 years. Her mother was in and out of the picture at the time, and as my wife and her got to know each other, they formed a bond. And because of her heroin addiction, the mother said she could never beat it. So she asked us if we would be willing to adopt Josie. And of course, after 2 years of having Josie, there was no problems with that. Because of her struggles with her legs, she always had to find different ways to get around and be mobile. And she always did. She always was able to figure things out on her own. We didn't have to show her how to pull herself around, never let anything slow her down.
I first wanted to be a softball player when I was 5 years old. That's when I really got into it. My father encouraged me to play it because all the other sports you had to run a lot, and he didn't want me to put pressure on my legs.
We didn't want her to be embarrassed or picked on. You know, as typical parents, we were afraid of how other kids would treat her. But she was determined, and I figured, well, the only real position that she could do without all the running would be to become a pitcher.
I realized I could really excel when I was about 2 years or 3 years into playing, because at that point I really knew how to play it, and I just got better at it. My favorite thing about being a pitcher would be the thrill of it and knowing that you got your team behind you to help you and support you.
The coaches, her friends, and the parents of all of her friends have been so amazing through the years. They know what her issues are, and they treated her like she was just somebody else. They didn't treat her special. They didn't run her down. They weren't negative towards her. And I think that made a big difference. And today, it's obvious her scars don't bother her. She's not embarrassed by them. And I think they make her stronger.
My friends mostly helped me get through high school. They were there for me in my low times, and they helped me to come out of my shell a little bit throughout the years. They also never treated me differently because of my disabilities and my scars on my legs. So after high school, I'm just going to continue working, and I have a love for photography as well. So I might pursue something in that later on in life, but at this point I'm not really sure.
No matter what it was, surgeries, anything, she never let it stop her. She always kept pushing forward. And to see her walk across the stage is going to be one of the most amazing feelings that we are going to have.
Walking across that stage Friday night is going to be amazing. It's going to feel so great, and it's going to be a big relief knowing that I finally made it after all these years.
Josie Burns.